Hello, everyone. I'm Caroline, and I'm happy to bring you this little warm up. I've learned so much from all of your videos so far, and I can't wait to meet all of you wonderful people in Mississippi next summer. This vocal tune-up came out of Arthur Lessac's approach to voice and movement from his use and training of the human voice, his workshops, and his intensives. I'm a certified trainer. I love Lessac because it's immediately accessible. It's effective. It builds on familiar experiences and focuses on sensations. It uses musical metaphors and it feels really good. The musical metaphors are wonderful because you get the expressiveness and the musicality in the voice. So that's another good thing. It's suitable for ages second grade through adult, maybe even younger. I've only used it in my children's workshops, my middle school, high school theater workshops, and my adult teaching and training and college classes. It focuses on three vocal energies: consonant energy, structural energy, and tonal energy. Consonant energy focuses on consonant sounds, obviously. It enhances intelligibility and expressiveness on consonants. It emphasizes connectivity through natural linking. Now, this is something that's different. Sometimes when we start enunciating, we tend to chop up our language and sound like robots. So this system really emphasizes the connectivity and that natural flow and fluidity that we already have in our speech. Structural energy focuses on a range of oral space. It slows down speech. If someone speaks really rapidly, you could use structural energy to slow it down, and it emphasizes expressiveness on the vowels. Tonal energy focuses on the use and development of forward tone. We want to keep our tone forward and not going back in our throats like this. It enhances resonance and it helps with projection or healthy volume. So the basic structure of the warm-up is something that you can do every day, every once a week, and it starts usually with breathing or some physical yawning, stretching, physical, a little physical warm-up beforehand, and then we move on to breathing. Focuses on the breath bucket breathing, which is we're going to smell a flower. It focuses then on articulation, expressiveness using the consonant sounds, sustainable and percussive sounds. For the younger set, I call them hummers and tappers. And then vowels need time and space. The projecting with the calling across a space, and then again, some ideas for some culminating activities, putting it all together. So we're going to start with our breathing. So I'm going to ask you all to take a big breath. And usually what happens, go ahead and take your breath. Usually what happens is people do this, or they raise their rib cage or their shoulders. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is cup your hands in front of you, not too close, not too far, and imagine you're holding a fragrant flower. Lilacs are my favorite. And just draw in that wonderful scent. It doesn't have to be a flower. It could be cinnamon roll coffee. It could be freshly baked bread, fresh cut grass. You can offer some suggestions. And just go ahead and draw in that wonderful smell. Relax your shoulders down. And we would take a few breaths and just, focusing on some observing of the four sides of the torso. We call it the breath bucket. And see if even the little kids, you can say, hey, do you feel any movement in your tummy? So you're kind of getting those sensations and getting that practice of being heightened, being aware, very aware. And then I'd ask you to hold a dandelion in your hand and gently blow the seeds off of the dandelion. Just gently blow. So then what we would do is we would take another smell the flower breath and we would breathe that in, down into our breath bucket. And then we would change and blow out our dandelion seeds until we're empty. So go ahead and take that nice breath. And then blow out your dandelion and empty, 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 and then smell your flower again. And hopefully you're really feeling a lot of action and expansion down in your breath bucket. I would ask the older students and adults, what do you notice? What are you feeling? Are you feeling it in your back? Things like that. But the little kids, did you feel any movement in your belly, your tummy, or your back, or. So yeah, keeping it lively and fun. Next, we would move on to the consonant sounds. We would to engage the voice, we would take a smell the flower breath, and we would exhale on a hum sigh. Instead of just, breathing out, we would use the voice to hum sigh. Then we would hum speak on some of the consonant sounds that are sustainable. We can linger, we can hum on all of these. So we would hum on the M and the N, the V and the Z. In a question and answer. So we don't have to sing. If you can sing and you want to hum sing, great. If you want to hum speak, great. You don't have to sing or be musical at all. And then you can just ask a question with your M, or answer it. And then we would do that for the other sustainable consonants. And then we would try to linger on those as long as we possibly could. I would ask then, do you feel buzzy? Do you feel vibrations? Where are you feeling it? And kind of, prompt them to see if they're feeling it here as they're humming. That tactile sensation can actually activate some forward tone, and we're not even to tone yet. Then we would move on to the drum beats. So the drum beats are the D's, the T's, P, P, K, G, and those aren't sustainable. So we call those tappers. So I'd ask the students to play their D. So you play your D, 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 D. I would kind of demonstrate, if necessary, you can demonstrate D, 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 and then take the voice away. D, 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 T, 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 T. It's the same exact action. You're doing the same thing with your mouth, and then you use the voice or you take the voice away. And then I would try to emphasize the tapping of the consonant sounds. The drum beats are something that instead of hitting, slamming, punching, we can just tap lightly, and we can still hear that T in the back of the theater. So you're going to feel the spring away or the little bounce. So I would kind of demonstrate that as well. D, 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 T, 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 T. Because you can imagine, the drumstick hitting the drum, it just bounces off. It has that spring away action. And then we would apply these to the ends of words because those are the places in the words that often get neglected. So we would practice with words like mad, mat, rib, rip, pig, pick. So you can play with those. And then the culminating activity here could be a beatbox or scat band. Next, we move on to structural energy. Vowels need time and space. So a familiar event to kind of hook people in is to have them go back to a memory when they maybe saw some really cool fireworks, and they would say, "Wow," or Luke Skywalker and his "No." So emphasizing that vowels need time and space to be expressive. We would apply and practice the vowel sounds because these are also words and we say them often. So again, this is something familiar. So instead of saying ooh, we would say ooh, oh, ah, ah, aha, ow, hi, or hey. So you can hear the music and the vowels, and then they can connect to that, pretty easily. A culminating activity here could be circle phrase and movement, moving around the space, greeting each other in kind of curvy movement. How do you do? Right? So you could do this with little kids. I do the same thing with my college age students, and they love it. You could also do a line of Shakespeare, feeling all the and oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown, really drawing that out and then not leaving it there, finding other tempos and variations of it. Okay, next we'd move on to tonal energy. Tonal energy using the call, this familiar event of calling across a space to help us project healthily and to use good, resonant, forward tone. A familiar event here could be calling to a friend across the street, or a baseball game. If you've been to a baseball game and you hear beer, beer, you hear popcorn, vendors calling and selling strawberries, things like that. So we're already familiar with this kind of use of our voice. Unfortunately, when students, actors, they're asked to project or raise their volume or be louder, they don't really know exactly what to do. What happens with the voice is it just moves up naturally to a higher pitch. The oral space naturally increases and the tone goes through our facial mask. So this is something that with the older kids, I will kind of explain, well, when people tell you how to, to be loud, or do you know what to do? And so this is kind of a way in. So we would call hello. Um, we're in a circle. We'd turn out of the circle and we would call hello. So sometimes I demonstrate and it would be like this. Hello, hello. So they can linger on that hello, let it rise and let it fall, let it, go over and through the space rather than, punching through the space. We're gonna, let it float. So then we would turn back into the circle and we would choose someone directly across the circle, the furthest away, and we would say hello and we would say their name. And so this is a way to kind of launch into that, what we call the hello voice, from saying the hello into a line of text um, that they can use as a familiar event for when they are on stage. So we would then say hello, and then we'd say their name, or we would launch into a piece of text, something like this. So it would be, hello! Oh, what a noble mind is here or throne. Okay, so I'm exaggerating quite a bit there, just to kind of get across the idea of what's possible with this kind of work. And then a culminating activity could be that circle phrase, and there's a lot of different ways you can do that. If you're in rehearsal, a little part of a warm up could be that each person says their line, and everybody says it together with a movement. So putting it all together, I've put here some lists. You can pause the video because I'm going to run out of time. You can pause the video and you can look at these, and obviously, please ask me questions. I will be happy to answer them. Thank you so much and have a great day. Can't wait to see you in next summer.